If you think that bloggers are the perfect homemakers, I have a story for you, and it's pretty embarrassing. Well, hey there, my name's Emily Myrick from the blog marriedmyrick.com, and every Wednesday I upload a new video on attainable homemaking for busy working women. So be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to learn how to be an awesome homemaker and hear vulnerable stories like this one about, yeah, not everybody's a perfect homemaker. I have to admit that I want you guys to be in love with homemaking. I want you guys to do homemaking with excellence and find joy in the homemaking, because I believe that homemaking is so much more than just the mundane chores that we all have to do, like laundry and dishes, the favorites, right? But this is a service to the Lord and to our families, and so this has an eternal impact on eternal souls that live in our homes. But also this is a service to the Lord, Colossians 3:23. So what we do in our home, it truly matters, guys. And this brings me the joy because I am serving the Lord, and then I know this is His calling for me to be an excellent homemaker, to glorify Him with my homemaking, with hospitality, to serve my family, even though right now it's just my husband and chickens. But in the future, hopefully it will be a little bit bigger than that. But yeah, I also love to practice hospitality, and on top of all of that, I love sharing the things that I'm learning and the strategies that I've created that help me to not be overwhelmed with you guys, because I know that homemaking is quite challenging, really, and a lot of times it does not get the respect that I believe it deserves. But today I want to share a story with you guys about a huge homemaking fail that I had really recently. And this was not my idea to share it with you guys, but my best friend lives in Minnesota, and so we communicate over Voxer all the time. And I sent her a series of Voxers that, like, in total was probably 45 minutes, telling her about just like the most wretched Thursday I've ever had. And not to just complain, but really more to like laugh at myself and be like, wow, like this is just so crazy. I really was a failure today. And it just kind of blew my mind how terrible I was at everything. And so give this video a like if you've ever had just a rotten day where you're like, man, I don't know what is going on, but I just really need to reset and get Jesus' new mercies next morning because today is just wretched. So anyway, you guys probably can relate to having kind of some shortages at your grocery store due to quarantines and panic buyers and everything like that. And so I was so excited the other week when I could actually order chicken for grocery pickup. However, it was not a brand or a package, anything that I was familiar with. It was a cut of meat I was familiar with, but this actual packaging, totally clueless to, but it was the only chicken available, and I was just like, yes, we're going for it. So it was chicken quarters. If you don't know, if you've never cooked chicken quarters, it's just a chicken thigh attached to a chicken leg. So it's a really big cut of meat. At least bigger than what I'm used to eating and serving and everything like that. But it's really delicious. I love chicken quarters, so I was so excited. My husband was like really wanting to grill, and I was like, this is gonna be great. Until I got the package home. And I realized that these were frozen chicken quarters. And guys, it's just a personal preference, but I always buy fresh chicken because I like to either freeze it raw and repackage it up myself, or I like to cook it myself and then freeze it. I don't like to buy pre-cooked frozen chicken because I just feel like the quality is so much better when I cook it myself, even if that's with my little crock pot hack, which if you're curious, just leave a comment below and I will tell you what that is. I'm just not used to having to like thaw out chicken that you get right from the store. So I was like, great, I need to cook this now because I literally just picked it up and I was going to cook it that night and I was like, this is not good. Okay, I don't know what is up with this because like I said, I don't usually buy frozen raw chicken, but it was just a solid brick, you guys. And there was probably like 10 chicken quarters in here, so it was a lot of chicken. And I was like, oh my word, it was just so frozen together. And I'm like, how are you supposed to get out your portion? Like, are you just supposed to cook this all at once? Because how do you get it out of the freezer and like split it up to thaw out, you know, even? And so, you guys, it was disgusting. There was like chunks of, okay, actually, I should probably give this disclaimer that if you are a vegetarian or a vegan, skip ahead to this point in the video because yeah, you don't want to hear about this. Okay, I'm sorry, it's kind of graphic, but I just have to tell you guys how wretched this was. It was so bad. So anyway, I'm pulling apart this chicken. There's like chunks of frozen blood flying everywhere, and I like had not prepped my station to be like a war zone. I had prepped it to just be like a quick, easy chicken to the grill situation that I used to. And it was just grossing me out so bad, you guys. Like raw chicken in and of itself is not a pleasant experience to handle, but I have for years, so it's like, it's fine, you know. Like, chicken was one of the first meats that I learned how to cook because we eat that a lot. But yeah, you guys, it was so horrible. But it gets worse and not necessarily in a gross way, although like it was on the floor, it was on like everything, it was getting everywhere, and I was just like nails on a chalkboard, getting the goosebumps, like, oh, this is so disgusting. And I was not planning to like deep clean my whole life today. And my sweet dear husband comes over and he's like, hey honey, how can I help you? And I'm like, ah! And I just like was yelling and I was like, get this, do this, now, faster, I need this, no, I need that. I was just like, you guys, I'm laughing because I was just a mess, but I'm just like so grossed out, so freaking out. And you guys, I just think it's funny because I think the Lord really can put opposites together to attract each other, and he uses that to sanctify us for sure. Because when I get stressed out, my voice level goes way high and I get so irritable and I am just like, do this, you know, I get really bossy. I am I'm a mess, okay? And I know it. I know my weaknesses. And my husband, it's like the more people yell at him or the more people say to hurry up, the slower he's going to go because he gets irritated when people yell at him. Like, you know, maybe you don't want your wife yelling at you. Like, can't really blame him, right? So that only irritates me more, and so then I just enrage. Oh, you guys, the Lord has mercy. I will just say that it is good. And my sweet husband, he's like trying to calm me down, which only makes me more frantic and more like, no, you don't understand, this is a war zone here. And so he's just like, oh, well, you know, what can I do to help? And I was just like, honestly, please leave. His poor heart. He was just like really disappointed that I was asking him to leave, that I didn't want him there. But really, I just was like, I don't want to have to have the self-control right now to not yell at you, because I'm just yelling in general because this situation is terrifying and so disgusting and so bad. And so yeah, I was just like get out of here. Like, leave me alone. Let me take care of this terrible mess. And so yeah, that hurt his feelings for sure, and I felt really bad about that. Anyway, long story short, I got the chicken on the grill. I went and apologized to my husband. I cleaned up the whole kitchen. My husband was very gracious. I was just basically explaining to him, like, this is not like your fault at all. I'm not mad at you. Like, you did nothing wrong, but I was just like, I don't want to hurt your feelings by yelling at you. And I can't promise that I can't yell in this situation because I am not strong enough to handle this disgusting blood ice everywhere and chicken parts. And yeah, it was really gross. It was very disgusting. So anyway, dinner was super late. I was frantic. I was, my mind was everywhere because I'm thinking about, I have to like deep clean the whole kitchen. I have to, apologize to my husband for being such a wretched person who's screaming at somebody who's just trying to help. And, I totally just was not paying attention to the grill. And if you're thinking that I burned the chicken, I wish that was the case. Well, I got to the grill and I was just like, oh, this looks fantastic. I'm starving because it is like an hour or two later than I wanted to have dinner ready because, I had to like thaw it and everything and clean up the kitchen. Yeah, you guys, it was bad. So I'm just like, I'm so hungry. It looks great. Don't want it to get dry. Let's get it off the grill. Yeah. You guys, it was so raw. It was so bad. I cook chicken all the time. I cook chicken breasts all the time. I cook chicken legs. I even cook chicken quarters, you guys. And I will say chicken thighs are a lot harder to cook than chicken breasts because, I don't know, they're just thicker. They need a little bit longer to cook and it's just a little bit more tricky for whatever reason. It always has been for me, but this was gross. I think the smallest piece that I gave to my husband, I gave him the smallest piece because even though it was small, it was still huge because I knew like that's got to be the most done. And I don't want to give him raw chicken on top of yelling at him for trying to help me. And yeah, you guys, it was not good. And even the biggest piece of chicken was really, really bad. Like, I didn't even cut into it to look at it. So, you guys, there were so many mistakes along the way, both culinary and preparationally. Like, I was not prepared that this was a frozen chicken. All of that totally failed. But the biggest failure, you guys, was how I treated my husband. And I know that you might be thinking like, girl, that's not that bad. Or maybe you're thinking like, girl, I can't believe that you were screaming at your husband. Like, he's the nicest guy ever. And I would agree. If you know him, he is just the best. I really love him so much. But in that moment, like I said, I was very weak and I was very much not having any of that situation. And yeah, you guys, it was really bad. Like, even after he went to work, I was telling my best friend Kelly about this over Voxer. I spilled like part of, I don't even know, like me trying to clean it all up onto the floor, like trying to get into the garbage can. So it was just like such a wretched day. But like I said, the biggest problem was me yelling at my husband or just not treating him the best and not having that self-control to really calmly ask for his help and accept that help and not be bossy in my direction giving of receiving that help. But yeah, that was honestly the very biggest mistake that was made because you guys, it doesn't matter how perfect your homemaking is, it matters where your heart is. And so even if you undercook the chicken if you have a heart that really desires to love your family and to, you know, really practice your cooking skills, and you're not just like desiring to feed them raw chicken, I believe that that is honoring to the Lord, and that is really the true purpose of homemaking, is to have this heart of servanthood. And of course, having a heart of servanthood means that you do want to do things with excellence. You do want to learn how to become a better cook. You do want to learn how to not make chicken raw to feed it to your family. So really, guys, that is the biggest lesson that I want you guys to take away from my most wretched homemaking experience recently anyway. I'm sure there's been plenty more mistakes, but really the heart that you have to serve your people and to love them, to remember and acknowledge that whatever you're doing, whether it be the most disgusting jobs like raw chicken and trying to prepare that, or cleaning toilets, or whatever you might have to do that's just really like gross, that it, like, your heart attitude towards serving your people is going to get you through those moments, and really truly find that joy in homemaking as a whole, because you realize this is a service done for my people, for the Lord. And what a joy it is to have the privilege to serve them and to love them and to show them the love of Christ. You are preaching the gospel with your attitude on homemaking. So if you have a really wretched attitude like I did that Thursday, you guys, it's not honoring to the Lord. And what is honoring to the Lord, though, is going through those experiences, realizing where you're wrong, repenting, asking for forgiveness, and just growing as a person, as a homemaker through that experience, and saying, okay, now I know what I did wrong, and now I know what to do to make it right in the future, and how to remind myself, you know, whether it be praying through that moment, listening to worship music through that moment, or just finding verses that you can memorize and repeat to yourself while you're going through terrible times. I do this, guys, and it really helps you reset your heart to remember that you are an ambassador for Christ, even in those disgusting moments that are just, they're not gonna happen in heaven. I'll just tell you that. Thank you so much for listening to this story, and I really hope to see you next Wednesday, and hopefully I'll share a little bit more encouraging news or tips on homemaking, so you can just learn how to glorify God in all that you do.